Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of Movement Radio. I am Chip Hazard,
I'm Talon Williams.
and we're joined with another special guest. I bet you guys thought that Chattanooga Roller Derby was over since the first home game happened, but no, we are here live with Punch Bug. How are you today?
I am good. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
I can't complain. I mean, and even if I did, who cares? But anyway, that being said, yes. So before we get into it, for the people that don't know who you are, who is Punchbug?
So I have been playing roller derby for almost a little over 10 years. I started in 2012. So almost half my life. But I am currently a pivot with the Chattanooga roller derby, sorry. And yeah, I actually just got to this league, but everything's been super, super incredible. Everyone's been very supportive and loving and welcoming in a new environment, which I know is hard because it's hard to come into a team where everybody knows each other. But I previously skated with Nashville, and we played Chattanooga a lot. And a lot of the skaters were on Team Tennessee, which is like a Tennessee State All-Star team. And I was also on that team. So we kind of all knew each other a little bit, but everyone's been great. And I'm super excited to be with the league.
Oh,
Awesome.
that's awesome. So I will follow that up with before you found roller derby, who was Punch Bug?
I feel like I'm gonna have a little bit of a different answer than most people. Derby's a very unique sport in the sense that I think a lot of people, there are plenty of junior leagues, but I think a lot of people find it later in life when they're adults. And I think that not a lot of sports are really like that. And it's really awesome because you can come in when you're older, and a lot of people are like, oh, I can't, I'm past 30. And it's like, who cares? I skated on the all-star team with someone who's 55 and she was crushing it. So it really is all ages. But I started when I was 11. So I don't super remember a time when I wasn't playing derby, to be honest.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's just kind of been a part of my life for the majority of my life that I remember. And it's been such a big part of my life that it's kind of just took over. And I mean, I was just like chilling as a kid before I played derby. I did karate. I'm actually a black belt. But it was definitely not my thing. Derby has definitely clicked for me more. My sister did karate as well, and she was like a protege. She was like captain of the demo team when she was like 13, and I was just like, I don't know, I'm a dumb kid. But I did get my black belt, and but then I found derby, and I was like, nah, this is my sport.
So what
Okay.
led you to Derby?
I actually knew a girl through a homeschool group that I went to. Been homeschooled my whole life, up until college, and my mom just got us involved in like a little group that we went to park days every Wednesday. And I met a girl, and she was like, I play roller derby. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. But I went to one of her games, and I was like, Mom, I got to do this. I got to try this. And it just kind of clicked, and it fell right into place. And it's just such an amazing community to be a part of. I am really, really grateful and fortunate that I found it at such a young age.
That's awesome.
That is.
So I want to step away from derby for just a second. You mentioned that you were homeschooled your whole life. How was that experience? Now that you're an adult, looking back, and there's a specific reason I asked this. My children are homeschooled as well, so I've honestly never met another adult who was homeschooled. So I want to know about your experience being homeschooled and how that has helped or hindered you in life now.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally really loved it. I think it's different for different kids. Like for example, my sister would have hated it, would have rather done anything else. She went to public school, went to Hume Fogg, which is like a big Hogwartsy school in Nashville. But I really didn't have an interest. My mom has her degree in education. And so she kind of like ran a childcare schooling type thing out of our home for a while. And then she got diagnosed with fibromyalgia and like chronic pain, and she couldn't really do it anymore. But at that point, she had already done some schooling with me and I was a grade ahead. I mean, granted, it was like first or second grade, but I had already skipped a grade and she was like, well, do you want to go to school? And I was like, no, not really. So I loved it. My mom took a very open approach and like it really like was able for me to communicate with her, and she adjusted to things that I did well with. So like I have also always played music. I've played music my whole life. And when like, for example, if I needed to write something and I just wasn't super vibing with like writing an essay, she was like, well, why don't you go write a song for an hour? You know, why don't you go work on something that's still going to be working on that skill, but doing it in a thing that you're passionate about, which I super appreciated. I feel like that helped me learn a lot. I will say it was a little bit intimidating going into college, having like never been in a school environment. Granted, I took 4 years off, took a gap year, which turned into
It's
like
a long gap year.
yeah,
You took
gap 4 years. So
you took a gap. So you took like 15 semesters off. Pretty much.
yeah, it's just like basically I would have already graduated, but I had never been in a school environment. And then last summer I was kind of just like, you know what, I'm gonna go to school. It's time. It's happening. And it was a little bit scary at first. I was like, oh, wow, I've never been to school and I haven't done any kind of school in 4 years. And now I'm just like in these college classes and in chemistry labs. And it was a little crazy. But I feel like kids feel like that even if they have been in school, from what I've been told. So I don't know if it was that big of a difference just because I was homeschooled.
Okay, that's
Okay.
awesome. That's some really good insight. Thank you.
Yeah,
very
I
good insight,
loved it
absolutely.
personally. I very much appreciated my mom bearing with me for all of those years.
All right. So you were born and raised in Nashville then, correct?
Yes.
Born and
Yep.
raised straight. Okay. So again, going back into the roller derby, what made you switch from Nashville to Chattanooga?
So I played with Nashville roller derby from the time I was able to when I turned 18 until we stopped skating for COVID. So that was, I guess, 2020. And unfortunately, COVID hit a lot of leagues really, really hard. So derby's a volunteer sport. I think what's part of what gives it that sense of community is because the best leagues in the world are skater run. So no one's getting paid to play. You can get sponsors and whatnot, but best teams in the world, doesn't matter. You're not getting paid. You're paying to play. It's always skater run. It's always volunteer run. So a lot of leagues lost their practice spaces and lost a lot of skaters. And unfortunately, Nashville was one of those. So we lost a consistent practice space, and a lot of our competitive A team didn't really come back after COVID. I think a lot of them were just already like gonna retire in a few years anyway. And then they kind of, went about their lives in the couple of years that the world shut down, which is totally understandable. But I have been skating for a really, really long time. And part of what I love about it is being super competitive and being challenged every time I go to practice. And Nashville's sort of in a rebuilding stage, which is awesome. Super great for them. And we are happy and we go support them at games and we love them. But I ultimately decided to transfer to Chattanooga just so I did have a little bit more of that challenge, and a little bit more of a competitive, like we're playing a little bit more competitive teams, but we're super excited to see Nashville season as well.
That's awesome. So do you still live in Nashville or did you move to Chattanooga for roller derby?
So I am still currently living in Nashville. I'm one of 3 skaters that commutes from Nashville. And then we actually have a lot of skaters that commute from, I know we have one that commutes from Georgia. And then we have a couple other ones that commute from other places around the Southeast. But I am one of 3 skaters and we drive to Chattanooga twice a week.
Okay.
That's awesome.
That is dedication and love.
Yeah,
Sure.
It's a lot.
Absolutely.
It's a lot. But it's a beautiful drive. It's a beautiful drive.
It is. I've been to Nashville quite a few times, and the drive over, I think it's Mont Eagle. If you come that way, it's super beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it really is. Especially if you're driving at like, I don't know, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, the sun's still kind of at that morning view, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
this is awesome, you know.
See, we're usually hitting the sun setting, but it's still
Oh,
gorgeous.
Yes, yes.
yeah.
But it
Yeah.
honestly flies by, and we've got good company. We just talk derby and listen to a lot of podcasts.
Well, now you got one more to listen to.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. Yes.
Okay, so you started derby when you were 11 in the junior league there in Nashville.
Yes. Yeah.
Made their main team. And so how, I guess the question is, in that transition, how was the transition from juniors to the main team?
It was difficult at first. I went from being like one of the larger skaters typically on the track for in juniors, and one of the definitely like most hard hitting. And I was kind of, when you're 18, you're kind of at the top for juniors when you've been skating for that long. So you go from being like kind of this beast of a player, and then you go to the adult league and you're like, oh wait, everybody's either my size or larger than me. So that was an adjustment, and they hit a lot harder, and they're a lot more like, teenagers. They're like, what's going on? But adults are a lot more like,
So you didn't get dropped into the deep end of the pool. You got dropped into the deep end of the ocean pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. And I was fortunate enough to pretty much immediately make it onto the charter team when I did go onto the adult league. So I kind of just got dropped into like, here you go. Here's all these really amazing skaters. You got this. And I was like, oh, okay. But it was, ultimately that's, I feel like, how you learn best. Sometimes you just gotta be fed to the wolves. But
Trial
makes
by fire, right?
Yeah, exactly. It makes you tougher. You get knocked down, you get back up. So it ended up being great, and I adjusted pretty quickly. And luckily I had some really, really great, amazing friends that I had skated with on the junior league for the majority of the time that I was there. And they had one of my really good friends had aged up the year before me. So she was already there and kind of could help me show me the ropes. And then one of my other really good friends, that was actually her sister, and I believe you're going to be doing an interview with her next week. She is also on Chattanooga now. But she also aged up the year after me. So it was great to have like a small community within that community as well.
Oh, I bet that helped a lot.
Yeah. Kind of like
a little group to stick together.
It's kind of like when you got a group of friends who you wrestle with, and it's like, hey man, I don't want to go to this new town by myself. You just want to ride with me? Yeah, let's ride. Hey, you might be able to get on the show. Yeah, come on. We've done that several times.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, Tal.
I was just going to ask a real quick question. So we've asked this question before. Who was like a mentor to you, like someone who, like when you first initially started, who was the mentor for you that kind of showed you the ropes in the beginning stages of your derby career?
Honestly, I had a couple of like the older girls that were on the junior league at the time kind of help me just like get up to where I needed to be. The first thing you learn is like how to fall, and it seems like really boring, but it's all safety stuff. Like safety is a big number one in derby. So you get taught how to fall. You're not just like thrown in and hitting people. How to fall and how to fall safely and how to hit safely and all of that good stuff. But I had a couple of the older girls kind of show me the ropes. And then other than that, I, in a way, just started looking up to, I like quickly became obsessed. And I started watching a lot of adult leagues and like really good adult leagues. And then I just started looking up to a lot of those skaters and learning from footage that I was watching from them.
That's interesting. Okay.
You kind of answered one of my questions in that. So the transition, so you've now made it from juniors to the charter team. The transition from Nashville to Chattanooga, how difficult was that? Or was it?
It's a little weird because I didn't transition from Nashville to Chattanooga since I wasn't actively skating with Nashville
Okay.
after COVID. So I never like it had been COVID, and then I was skating with Team Tennessee, the state all-star team. And then I kind of just decided to like hop back into Derby with Chattanooga. So it wasn't like it wasn't like Nashville to Chattanooga transition necessarily. But again, they've all been like super welcoming and great, which has been awesome because it is always hard to go into a league again that everybody knows each other. But they don't really feel like that. They kind of immediately make you feel like family. And that's been the majority of my experience with every league that I've been a part of. Again, I think Derby has a very unique sense of community, and pretty much for the most part, everyone's really awesome and great at the end of the day. You go out on the track and you beat each other up, but you high five and you go drink at the after party together. So
Right. So how did the name Punch Bug come about? Was that something that you had already had coming into Chattanooga, or was it a name that was bestowed upon you, or how exactly did the name come about?
yeah, I've actually had that my whole Derby career. So it's funny, my mom and I used to play the punch bug, like
Punch Bug. Yep.
yeah, sure. Yeah. And
Yeah.
she would always be like, "Oh my God, you punch too hard. You're always bruising me." And so when I started playing Derby, she was like, "Your name should be Punch Bug." And I just kind of picked one, and I guess it stuck. I feel like I'm a little bit unique in a way. A lot of people don't actually call me Punch Bug. They just call me Tobie, which is my real name. And I don't really know why. I think it's because it took me a long time to pick a name when I was in juniors. But even still, I don't know. It's just sort of like it's always been a back and forth. I think I go to a new league and people are always like, "What do you want to be called?" And I'm like, "I don't care.
You-
You can
you're
call
just
me
like,
whatever."
yeah, I
Just
don't care as long as I can skate.
yeah.
Right.
You could be like, "Hey, you," and I'm like,
That's
"Okay."
right. All right, we'll call her Toby Bug. Get out there.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. But yeah, I had a couple names thrown around. My sister really wanted me to be Toby-Wan Kenobi, but
Oh,
That
which
would have been
is a good one. I
awesome.
know it's a really good one. Now that I'm older and can like appreciate it, I'm kind of mad I didn't go with it. But I was like 11, and I was like, anyway, Star Wars is for nerds. you know, I
Yeah,
am full
but
nerd, full nerd. No offense. I love Star
no,
Wars.
it's all good. It's all good.
Love it all. Okay, yeah, I appreciate it all now. I was just trying to fit in.
It's way up there. I can't grab it right now, but it's way up there. My Boba Fett, it's way up there. I'm sorry.
No,
I
Star Wars
got
is
I gotta
awesome.
get shells.
We love it now.
okay. So now I want to take kind of a deep dive and hit you with a kind of a serious question. How has Derby changed your life personally?
Personally, I don't think I would be the person I am today without Derby. When I went into juniors, I was very shy, very, very awkward, and just like didn't. I had like one friend, and it was like just my little homeschool girlfriend. But it definitely brought me out of my shell, and I think that it does that for a lot of people, just having continued to grow up in juniors. And we always try to, like, the little alumni group, we always try to go help and coach them, and I've seen it happen for so many young girls go into that league. There was this one girl, I feel bad I always use her as an example, but it was incredible. When she first started coming in, she would literally like hide behind her mom, like was so panicky all the time and just like was super shy. And within probably 3 months, she was out in the middle of the skate center floor, like doing the hokey pokey with the rest of the junior team. Like it's incredible to watch it change people. And it's just such an amazing, supportive community to be a part of. And it's like, you can be whatever you want. Nobody is going to judge you. Like, doesn't matter what you look like, what size you are, what color your hair is, whatever. Like, you go to Derby and you get to be yourself, and people are going to accept you, and like everybody's weird and we embrace it. And so I think it made me realize that it was okay to be myself. And I think growing up homeschooled and like feeling like the weird girl, it was a really cool, like I always wanted to like fit in, and then I found Derby and I was like, kind of brings a new definition of fitting in. It's like you fit in by just being you and like being different and embracing that. And you're not going to try, and I feel like a lot of times in like schools and stuff, it's like you try to be like everybody else, and Derby's just not like that. And so I feel like that it changed my life just because I realized, hey, it's cool to be you. And that's awesome. And you can be weird, and you're going to have a great community to fall back on.
Yeah. If we can stray away for Derby for just 1 second, do you have any interesting hobbies outside of Derby that you like to do?
Well, like I said, I've played music my whole life. So I have a lot of friends and bands that play music. So we like to just kind of jam and play together. I love plants, as you can probably tell.
Right. Any particular instrument you were good at?
So I mostly sing. I can play guitar, a little bit of bass, ukulele, piano, a little bit of everything.
Any particular style of music?
Mostly sing. Sorry?
Any particular style of music?
I would say like my original music that I play is kind of like indie, I guess.
Like indie pop kind of?
Yeah, singer-songwriter, classic Nashville.
Yeah.
You know what? Hey, at least it's not country, but
there you go.
but yeah, I love playing music, and I have a lot of really, really cool connections in the music industry, which is awesome. And a lot of my friends play in the local music venues around here, so we spend a lot of nights going and cheering them on, which is great. Other than that, I really love to bake. I have done like multiple of my friends' whole weddings and their cakes and cupcakes and cookies and all of that. I'm always looking for fun things to bake. Baking is like where my heart is.
Nice.
Wow. You are multifaceted.
Yeah. I also
You mean she can sing and she bringing home baked cookies? Yeah. She definitely invited to the barbecue.
I also luckily in summer right now, but I am in school pretty much full time when I am doing it. Aspiring to do wildlife biology eventually. So hopefully.
Nice.
Wow.
Very nice.
Okay.
That's what school in particular are you going to?
Right now I'm taking classes at Ball State.
Okay.
I'm getting my associates in environmental science, and then hopefully from there, mostly just get like my prereqs out of the way. Hopefully from there, I will go into a bachelor's program for wildlife biology.
Nice.
Somewhere. I don't know where. We'll
Nice.
see.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
Let's jump back to roller derby. Sorry, we're kind of all over.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Just trying to get to know you a little better and everything. So skipping back to derby a little bit, do you have a particular ritual that you do before you play? Like, do you just like vibe out to music, beat yourself up, something?
I wouldn't say I have necessarily like a ritual. I think most people do, but I usually listen to music, or it kind of depends on like what the vibe is going into the game. If I'm like super duper in my head, because I do that. If I'm like super in my head, I usually try to listen to something that's gonna like bring a fun vibe and make me laugh. My friend and Rosie and I usually listen to like the Jungle Book or like random little like
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
I want to be like you.
Literally, exactly that song. We were skating around the track, warming up before our Atlanta game this last weekend, like Shooby-Doo. So if I'm in my head, I'm usually trying to like be like, it's just a game, it's okay.
Meanwhile, you got probably somebody else on the team listening to like deathcore or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It ain't that serious.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's very, like I said, we're very competitive, and I love the competitiveness. And obviously, you always want to win. But sometimes, just personally, and some people, again, everyone's different. So, like, some people, get in their head and get in that mindset, and that's how they perform the best. But sometimes, if I get too in my head and too like focused on taking it too seriously, then I mess up one time and I'm like, well, I suck. And so sometimes I have to remind myself to lighten up a little bit. Or else I'll just spiral. I'm also typically getting penalties, unfortunately. So I'm always like, I'm always like, okay, can't fall out of the game. But yeah, I usually just listen to music and kind of skate around, eat some good food beforehand, stay hydrated, all that good stuff. Usually try to do some stretches.
Yeah, we noticed that Saturday or the home game this past week, we noticed that like before everything started, like there were kind of like people mulling around, kind of doing their own thing. So we just assumed that that was like people getting in that zone or whatnot. Um, I can't wait for you guys to see all the footage that we've got and how we've edited it together and everything. Like it was such an amazing experience. You mentioned a few times how like Derby and everybody kind of like accept you as family, and I can't say any better than that because you guys have really accepted us as kind of part of the family. Like I feel like we're a part of the family, and you know, I want to say I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. That's
absolutely.
awesome. I'm really glad that that extends to like outside of the skaters, because it's hard to gauge. Like obviously you want that to feel like that, but as a skater, it's kind of hard to tell as what an outside perspective would look like. So
Mhm.
that's really, really awesome to hear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
So maybe the last question before we let you go. I noticed that you have this big tattoo here. Um, how many tattoos do you have, and which is your favorite?
Oh goodness. I have lost count because I have so many. Um, Probably 18 to 20, I would say, which is unusual for, I'm only 23, but I started getting them when I was 18, and just like you get one and then you're addicted. Um,
Yeah.
Favorite
I
one
just
is,
wish I had the money to get more. You know what I mean?
yeah. Oh, did that one hurt? I hear in her
That's all I
arm
got.
is like a
This
bitch.
one, I
Yeah.
fell asleep. So the most
Really?
awkward thing, yeah,
Wow.
the most awkward thing was sitting like this.
Yeah.
But I fell asleep. So I have one there and I have one on this side as well. Um, this is probably my most favorite. It's probably hard to say, but if you read it this way, it says family. And if you flip it over, it says forever.
That's
So
awesome. That's
yeah.
awesome.
I don't have any cool tattoos like that. I got this one right there.
Nice.
We call it our redneck wedding rings.
Nice.
Uh, it's Japanese kanji for love because it's me and my wife both have it. And then I got this one. This was actually my first one. It means sacrifice. I'm big fan of Japanese culture.
That's
So
awesome.
the next one that I'm gonna get is gonna be for my mother. My mom passed away last year, so I'm gonna get like an old Sailor Jerry style tattoo. I found a picture of her when she was like in her like really like young 20s, and I'm gonna get that inside of an oval green background because her favorite color was green. I'm gonna have a beach scene with anchors and seashells. And only problem is where I want it, they're telling me, Talon, you're not gonna be able to do it. I want it here on my ribs. And they
Okay.
said,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
do it. It's gonna hurt. Don't do
Yeah.
it.
Usually that's what they try to
Just
stray you away.
stick me with like 6 needles of Novocaine and then just do
Yeah.
it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I've watched enough Ink Masters to know they will like do anything to not get you to do it on your ribs.
That
I
show's
do
so
have a piece.
fake.
I do have a piece of my ribs, and I can tell you it was by far my most painful one.
Yeah.
Um,
So what's your favorite? What's your favorite that you have?
Personally, my favorite, you can't see it's on my leg, but it's my Derby tattoo, and I basically found this really cool like art. I think it was like little clip art, I don't know, but it was a teacup and it had legs with stilettos, like, and the legs were like crossed coming out of the teacup. And I took it to an artist that I found in Nashville that I really loved, and I was like, hey, I play roller derby, I kind of want something like this, but I would love for it to be skates and not stilettos. And she killed it. She absolutely ran with it. And she was like, you play roller derby? That's awesome. Can we do knee highs? Can we do fishnets? Can we put knee pads on it? And I was like, yeah, dude, take it away. Like, So
That's
she
awesome.
did a great job. So she did this really cool antique looking teacup. And it's got legs with fishnets and knee pads and, classic knee high socks and skates coming out of it. So that's probably my favorite one. But I love a ton of them. I'm eventually want to do this whole arm with animals. I've got a little frog and a bee and a jellyfish. So
Oh, wait, can I see the frog one real quick?
that was actually, oh, I don't know if I can get it.
Maybe.
That was actually my first one.
That is dope. My wife loves frogs, so I definitely have to. When this video comes out, I'll definitely pause it and show her, like, hey, look at this tattoo that she's got.
Yeah.
You know,
Reptiles and amphibians are kind of my thing. I think that's what I'm leaning in towards once her herpetology. I've loved them since I was like teeny tiny, and they're super misunderstood. I love snakes. I have a snake tattoo too. I have 5 snakes back at my parents' house. But I love them, and I think that they're a super misunderstood animal. And I think a lot of times fear just comes from like not knowing and being like, oh, creepy crawly,
Yeah, the pool noodles from hell, as they're called.
Yeah. But I have little ball pythons, and I always like, I love showing them to like kids, like my cousin has kids and she'll bring them to Nashville every now and then. They live up in Alabama, and I'm like, look, it's like a cinnamon roll. They're cute.
Just make sure they don't try to eat it.
Yeah, no, they're funny. That first when I met them, they were like, ooh, I don't know about that. And then, the next time they came over, they were like, can we see your worms?
Oh,
I was like, you can absolutely see my worms.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Can we see your worms?
Are they albino?
One of them is albino. The other one is a pied ball python. So they're like the classic ones you see, like with the white and the brown spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think albino pythons and boa constrictors, they're like the coolest looking animals.
They're so cool.
It's like they're white, but they have a yellow tint to them, and their eyes are like bloodshot red. I'm like, that's the coolest thing ever. I ain't fucking with it, but it's the coolest thing ever.
I think my albino one is actually blind, because he misses food a lot, but he's great. They're great. I personally love them. I think they're adorable, and I know not everybody's like that, but I would love to study them.
Snakes don't bother me. Spiders, on the other hand, I'm done.
I'm not a big bug person. I never kill them because I love animals, but I don't particularly want them.
I don't kill them either. I just run screaming the other way. Yeah,
he does.
My wife, on the other hand, is the one that she just like
she'll take care of them.
Yeah, she'll just be like, okay, it's gone.
Okay, we're done. Yeah.
And I'm like, and people make fun of me all the time because I'm 40 and I'm afraid of spiders, and they're like, they're probably more afraid of you than you are of them. And I was like, yeah, but some of them are poisonous and some aren't, and I'm not getting close enough. Yeah, I'm not getting close enough to figure it out.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair.
Which I guess the only bug I guess that I like is the dragonfly, because they are symbols of protection. So that's just an old mythos. I know people have different opinions about stuff, but that's just always what I've been told and believed, was that dragonflies, supposedly, if you believe in some, like, dragonflies ward away evil spirits. This is what I've heard. So
cool. I don't think I've ever heard that.
Yeah, I heard that I think I was in high school when I heard that. So we were talking about tattoos a minute ago. The next, I guess, aside from the tattoo that I want to get from my mother, I'm going to get 2 dragonflies tattooed on each of my forearms, with one of them having a P in the background for my daughter Piper and an M for the background for my son Malachi. The one for my son is going to be blue, and the one for my daughter will be red, which will eventually fade into pink. And the dragonflies are going to be in front of the letters, signifying that I am their protector. I am their dragonfly, basically. So I thought that was a pretty unique concept. I figured that's probably what I was going to do. So, although it's going to cost, I actually talked to a buddy of mine who, his sister is a tattoo artist out in St. Pete in Florida. And he was like, man, if you get that tattoo, if you get it from her, it's going to probably cost you $300 an arm. I was like, any cheaper ones in Chattanooga, maybe? That's so expensive.
I will tell you, from the shops that I've been to in Nashville, that's on the cheaper side. They're pretty pricey down here, but I justify it because I'm like, it's on my body for the rest of my life. So
Right.
it's okay.
Yeah.
I'd
If you
rather
don't mind, if you don't mind me asking you, how much money do you have invested in your tattoos?
people ask me that a lot and I prefer to not think about it.
That's fine. That is fun.
Um, probably a decent amount. One of my biggest pieces I have is I have like a full thigh floral piece. And I sat for 7 hours. It was like a
Ooh.
couple summers ago. And it was actually super easy. I was really scared because this one took 5, I think. That was the longest I'd sat for, but it's mostly like little dots, so it didn't like really hurt. But I was kind of intimidated going into a 7-hour session. But it was super easy and my artist was great and she was super easy to make conversation with. And that one was a $900 flat rate for the
Oh,
7
wow.
hours. And then, plus tip and everything. So that
Right.
one
Is
was
it a
a little-
mandala?
What's that?
Is it a mandala on your
It's
arm?
floral. No, it's just like a
Oh, it's
big,
a
like
floral.
it's like a big flower and a bunch of little flowers coming off of it.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
It looks
It-
good though.
Yeah. I'm like, again, they're on my body for the rest of my life. So
Yeah.
okay. They're really cool. I feel like something like a lot of people don't really acknowledge about tattoos is like they're kind of a confidence booster. You know what I mean? They make you want to like, I got a cool tattoo on my leg. I want to show off my leg now. Whereas like, maybe before someone might've been, like I was Shirley. So I was like, I'm not wearing shorts, but now I have tattoos on my legs. I'm like, I'm going to wear shorts because I have cool ass art pieces on my legs. And I feel like that's an aspect of tattooing then, and getting tattoos that people don't really acknowledge too much. Like you get a lot of like bad stigma around them, but I love them. I think they're awesome.
Do you get the bad stigma most of the time, or is it more just like, hey, I like your tattoos?
It's mixed. It's mixed. A lot of times people are like, shouldn't you like slow down? And I'm like, it's fine. But
How are you gonna look when you're 4? How are you gonna look when you're 80 years
Right.
old?
I'm like,
Awesome.
yeah. Also, I'm gonna be 80. It's what I don't care at that point.
Right.
But yeah, for the most part, people are really cool and really like them. I have a lot of like really unique pieces, I feel like. So for the most part, I get pretty positive commentary. We do have a lot of family that lives in like deep South Alabama. And when we go down and visit them, I get a lot of like, whoa, get a lot of weird looks. But other than that, it's pretty cool. I mean, we're in Nashville. It's a pretty progressive city,
Yeah. If there's one piece of advice that you could give to somebody looking to get into roller derby, what would you tell them?
I would say to stick with it through hard times. You take a lot of hard hits. You have a lot of hard days of practice. I always say derby is it's like it's blood and thunder. It's like when long time ago, the original Nashville roller derby team did this was like in 2012. I think they made this movie, but they made like a short documentary about the league, and it was called Hell or High Water. And I feel like that always stuck with me, and because derby is very much a hell or high water sport. And so I feel like there's a lot of times where you get frustrated, whether it's with yourself, with your teammates, with whatever, and there's a lot of times that it can seem really easy to be like, well, you know what, why am I mean, at the end of the day, we pay money and to get ourselves like slammed into concrete. It's a little strange, but we love it. So I know I've had days where I leave practice and I'm like, I don't know why I do this. I don't know why I dedicate so much time, but for the most part, you just got to get past that one little thought, and it's always worth it. And you just got to put in the work, and you'll get there. Cause I know a lot of people, like, since I came from having played for so long, when I first transferred onto the adult league, I feel like I got a lot of like the newer skaters didn't really understand, like, well, you're just good. You just showed up and you were good. So like, you don't get it. You don't get the struggle of having to learn things. But I worked my butt off to get to where I am, and I continue to work hard, and had a lot of learning experiences. I actually played on the Junior Olympic team in 2016 and went to the Junior Olympics in Lincoln, Nebraska for roller sports, which was awesome. We won bronze.
Awesome.
So that was really
Congrats.
cool. And I've just had a lot of really cool opportunities and experiences. And they far outweigh any of the bad times of being frustrated. I personally am usually frustrated with myself whenever I leave practice frustrated. I'm like, I suck. But I know everybody has their own frustrations, but you just got to push through them and you'll get better. And, you know, you're always room to improve. There's always places to learn and you'll get there. So I feel like that's the biggest advice I would give to somebody, because there were a lot of times when I was first learning that I was like, this is too hard. Why am I doing this? But you'll get there and it's worth it for sure.
Absolutely.
Awesome. That's great advice. That's great advice. All right. So now, is there anything you want to plug? Anything upcoming that you're going to be involved in? Any social media? Anything? This is your time to plug all of that stuff.
Well, we have 2 more home games left this season, so I'd love to do a shout out to those. We have one on June 10th and then one on August 19th. So we're at Camp Jordan. We just moved there. Everybody seems really excited. They were really, really great. That was my first time skating there. But it was awesome. So it was a really, really cool venue, and they seemed really, really helpful and amazing. So we're super excited to be there. And so, yeah, June 10th, August 19th, we have home games. And then we are actually off on Friday. We are off to Southern Discomfort Tournament in Columbia, South Carolina. So we'll be playing against Red Stick, which is the Baton Rouge team, and then Jacksonville, Florida on Saturday. So
Awesome.
wish us luck.
Awesome. Good luck.
Yes. Good luck. Very much so.
Thanks.
Yeah. If you just want to hang out with us for just a few moments while we pay some bills, thank you guys so much for tuning into tonight's episode. We hope you guys enjoy it. Chip, anything you want to say before we get out here tonight?
As always, check out movementradio.us. That is your one-stop shop for all things Movement Radio.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight and for liking the video. Make sure you subscribe, share with everybody that you can share with. Also shout out to all of our sponsors, w.gg, the oggearanime.com, Canva, Zoo Lily, audibletrial.com/movement radio, GetResponse, Elementor, Entertainment Earth, and Just Cash Clothing. Thank you to all of our friends that's been down with us since day one. You know who you are. Thank you guys so much for the love and support you guys have been giving us here on the YouTube channel. And again, Tobie, Punchbug, thank you so much for being here. We really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
That being said, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you guys next time. Let's hit them with the outro.
Please do not leave without leaving a like, comment, share, and subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and right here on YouTube.
Check us out on all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Check out the YouTube channel here. Subscribe. Click that bell to get notified of our latest videos. Check out streamlabs.com/movement radio/merch. Go copy some merch. And also movementradio.us, your one-stop shop for all things Movement Radio.
I am Chip Hazard.
And I'm Talon Williams.
And this is Movement Radio.
God's plan.